Hey, hey! It is Hump Day. Welcome into the Hump Day edition of the Matt Wyatt Show. That's me. That's my name. Don't wear it out. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau insurance agent in all 82 counties here in the state of Mississippi. Y'all can be a part of the show. In fact, we prefer it. I know I certainly prefer it. It's always good to hear from you. It just makes it so much better. Makes it worth my time, frankly, to get to hear from you instead of just hearing from myself all the time. So glad to open up the text line and the phone line and all the social media stuff to you. Y'all text me today on the Country Pleasin' text line, Country Pleasin' sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. It is the best sausage you've ever had. Try it, and you will agree. The Country Pleasin' text line, 885-ESPN, 885-ESPN, 601 area code. If you need the number, it's 885-3776, so text away. Call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. They're the oldest Kubota dealer in the U.S. That means they've been doing it better, longer than anyone else. That's at Davini. Call me on the Davini phone. The number is 995-1059. Got it? Repeat after me. 995-1059. 105. Got it. Everybody got it. All right. Happy Hump Day, y'all. Get down. Shake a leg. Break a leg, Junior.
Do the Humpty Hump. Come on, do the Humpty Hump. Check me out, y'all. Do the Humpty Hump. Just watch me do the Humpty Hump.
Yeah. All right. Hi to Joy, who's waving at me on Facebook, watching the live stream. Gus, watching the live stream, says, bring the truth for Wednesday. You know, Ed Orgeron, he's a national championship coach. National championship program at LSU, right? Yes. And they name the days of the week like they'd have, you know what, Competition Tuesday and Work Hard Wednesday and Perfection Thursday. You know, different things like that. And we got to have Bring the Truth Wednesday. Well, that's submitted now by Gus. What's up, Danny and Cody and Stephanie and everybody on the live stream? So y'all get on in here. Text line wide open to you again, 885-ESPN, 601 number, 885-ESPN. Cody on the live stream says, any news on Jalen Maiden starting or being in the mix to play this weekend? Yeah, the lefty from Texas, right? The backup quarterback, left-handed quarterback from Texas, signed with Dan Mullen, spent time in the system, obviously, as a backup behind other guys when Joe Moorhead was here as the coach, and now a backup here under Mike Leach. Now, I found that when you lose, several things start happening. Number one, people start all kinds of rumors that pretty much always get blown out of proportion. I say pretty much because, I mean, sometimes things crazy happen, you know, and the rumors maybe aren't blown out, but generally, you lose a couple of games in a row in the SEC or things go south on you, all kinds of weird rumors will pop up. And in my experience, most of the time, the rumors that pop up aren't true. They're either that or they're very exaggerated. Okay, that happens when you lose. The other thing that happens when you feel like you're underachieving or you struggle on offense is the backup quarterback or backup quarterbacks become the most popular guys on campus. Like, we learn all about them, and everybody believes that they are the answer. And in certain cases, maybe they are sort of the answer. But generally, if they were the answer, they would be starting, you know, or if they were at least capable of proving they are the answer to this point, they would be starting.
You're saying, Captain Obvious, I'm just trying to clear my brain here. I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but you're saying there's a reason they were second string to begin with, right?
Generally, that's how that works out. Not always, but generally. No, but look, not to dismiss it, Cody, I don't know what we will see in terms of who is getting all the reps in this ball game on Saturday. because it sounds like all competition was put back on the table after last week's game on offense. Everything's back on the table. Hey, boys, if you've been sitting here wanting to earn playing time, if you have felt like, you were lower on the depth chart than you should be, here's what we are telling you as a coaching staff. It's open season this week. If you go win the job this week, I'm going to play you Saturday. I don't care where you were on the depth chart last week, 2 weeks ago. I don't care what you did in camp. If you go win the starting job this week, I'll play you. And what was the quote from Mike Leach today in the coaches teleconference, on the phone teleconference with SEC coaches? Here it is. There's been a, quote, new sense of commitment in practices this week. Not all old school stuff is still good, and not all old school stuff applies now. A lot of it does. And for me, I'm a big believer the old school approach of however you can possibly tweak and ramp up the competition in your own team. Not between you and the other guys, no, between us. However I can ramp up the competition between us, it's just going to make us a little better. And hey, things don't go too well. You got worse, from one week to the next, from that week to the next. We got to find some guys who can go get better from this week to the next. And so we'll just put it all on the table. You proved to me this week at practice, this week 4 of the season, you proved to me that I should play you. I will play you. Y'all have got a clean slate. All right, see you out there in 5 minutes. I love it. So as far as who's going to get what reps and who's going to play, I don't know. Nobody knows. Do I expect it to look a little different? Yes. So we'll see about that. Cody, thanks for your comment on the live stream. Gail says, give us some good news, or give us some news. She didn't say good news. Good news. She said news. Well, I don't know. What kind of news? Cody says he hopes it works. Well, you hope it works. I mean, that's the key. But, when things aren't going well, sometimes you have to try stuff. Sometimes you try stuff with no guarantee it's going to work. You're just making sure you don't just keep on doing the same old thing. John on the live stream says we could use Schrader to sink and, what does it say? Dink and dunk, and he can run when they drop 8. Yeah, maybe. Maybe you could. Just know that they like him at receiver. He caught a pass in, week 2? First career reception was in week 2 against Arkansas. And he's playing a starter's role on special teams and other things also. So, again, stranger things have happened. I don't expect him to make a move back to quarterback and then see if I'm wrong about that, and that'd be fine. Gator Man, all right, let's talk about this. Gator Man, you said it yesterday. I want to tip my cap to you because I think you were, reading the tea leaves, looking at all the inside info as best you could at about this time yesterday. I think it was during the 3rd hour, right at the beginning of the 3rd hour of yesterday's show. Gator Man on the Country Pleasing text line texted us, and he said that he was hearing that there's a better than 50% chance that the game, a Florida LSU game, would be postponed. Well, then what happened? We get the news late yesterday. 5 Florida players. Was it 5 players or 5 total? Because I know today Dan Mullen said that there were 2 staff members also.
The total that I have heard is 19.
Oh,
so
19
I don't know
total.
If that was 5 additional yesterday, and then 2 of those were staff members, maybe.
Okay,
but I'm looking at some articles right now on that, so I'll see what I can find out.
Yeah, see what it says in there. I'm scrolling back on Twitter too, JB, because earlier today, when the teleconference stuff was happening, Robbie Andrew, who covers Florida, I was looking at some of his stuff here. Here, he's got a whole timeline full of Mullen comments today regarding this COVID stuff and everything else. And this goes back around lunchtime, or I guess this is lunchtime, depending on where you are, but within the last hour or so. Mullen said health officials had a small spike of positive tests and had some players with cold symptoms there at Florida. He said that he doesn't want to speculate right now, this is an hour ago, on whether the game will be played Saturday. He was, as of an hour ago, saying that at Florida they are waiting for test results from this morning to determine whether they can practice today or not. They, without going into every single thing, that's what I was going to point out, though, is Mullen did say that they had 2 assistant coaches who also tested positive. Okay, so staff and players. This is after playing at Texas A&M. Now, here's the thing that is interesting to me. Texas A&M, who comes to start with this week, has said that they've had no issues, right, with positive tests at this point. We got that yesterday from Ross Bjork, who's now the AD at A&M. We got no issues on our team right now. We're going to continue to monitor it. We understand Florida does have issues. Okay, so those players are out there butting heads with each other, hugging each other, hitting each other, pushing each other, tackling each other, shoving each other. All right? And Florida comes out of it. And what they said was Sunday, when they tested on Sunday, one day or less than 24 hours after playing against Texas A&M on the road, they test on Sunday. Those tests come back that they have, 5 new positive tests, I think, on Sunday, which sent them down this path of now, okay, looks like we may have an outbreak. Now they're doing daily testing. So they tested Sunday, and then Monday, and then yesterday on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday. They test them again to see how many keep popping up. All right? The thing to me that is curious, like, if they've got double-digit numbers, new ones, they're testing every day, they paused all their activities at Florida, what are the chances that we're going to look up here on Wednesday or Thursday or maybe even Friday when normally A&M would travel and all of a sudden they're going to have a positive test? You know, is there something, this I don't know, we're doing contact tracing. Is contact tracing between now and Saturday going to put A&M in a position where they go, hey, look, for our sake and for your sake, we probably don't need to play this week. Just make sure we'll push it back. I think somebody did point out that both State and Texas A&M supposed to play each other this week, but they both have an open date on their schedule the following week. So if they just pushed it back a week, they could just play each other then and give a little more space between A&M coming into your place and hitting and tackling and hugging and slobbering on your players 1 week after playing against Florida, who JB tells me they have 19 cases at Florida. Put 2 weeks behind you and a few more tests before you go in there and play. It's Wednesday, but would it surprise you if that's the route they eventually went on this thing? I don't know that it would. I don't know that it would necessarily, be a bad thing. I know everybody wants to play on schedule, but that's why they built that open date in there anyway. And I said this yesterday too. I just believe it. The least surprising thing in all of this. The least surprising thing in all of this is that there have been positive tests for coronavirus among players. The thing that, frankly, is incredible to me is that every SEC team, all 14 teams, got to play their first 3 games with 0 interruptions. That's what's incredible to me. Not that you're in week 4 now and you're having interruptions in 2 games, right? So, Missouri and Vanderbilt postponed, and now we're probably looking at Florida and LSU. There are also some reports popping up out here that I don't see it from being confirmed by a legitimate, like a super duper legitimate news outlet. There are a few tweets and things just kind of randomly popping up out here about LSU and Florida, the fact that they're going to postpone it. I mean, wouldn't be surprised at this point, but I'll wait and see if we get either Florida or LSU confirming it, or like a Ross Dellinger Sports Illustrated confirming it, or, any of that stuff before I go with it as being a fact. But some people are saying that they already have made the decision to postpone that one. We'll see. On the Texas A&M thing, real quick also, Tex Ags, if you're a State fan, you don't follow them, you may want to try that this week. Tex Ags, they cover everything Texas A&M, just kind of wall to wall. And on Twitter, they are Tex Ags. They tweeted a few minutes ago that Jimbo Fisher on the SEC teleconference regarding any current COVID-19 concerns at Texas A&M, his quote was, "We've tested twice and we are completely clean." Okay, so right now A&M, they've tested after playing Florida, and really would kind of, the way this thing works, one team has 19 cases, including 5 new ones they figured out on Sunday, less than 24 hours after playing you. If your team comes out of it clean, that's kind of a miracle, actually. And they'll proceed as scheduled. All right.
Before you make that transition, I just see that Steve Robertson has retweeted from the Advocate in Baton Rouge that they're reporting the game is going to be postponed later in the day, so it could happen during the show.
Okay. And that's originally from the Baton Rouge Advocate. Steve retweets it. Yeah, and it would make sense, right? I mean, look, Florida's already put their stuff on pause the whole game week. It's now Wednesday, and he says on a teleconference an hour ago they're waiting on today's test results to decide if they can play this weekend. They must have started to get some of those results back, JB, and it wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, it's the old adage, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right. We've been fortunate enough here recently to get some phone calls from a few AKAs, AKA Chris Rock, AKA Stephen A. Smith, Chucky, John Gruden, Lou Holtz. We got another one. Davini Equipment phone line, Davini Equipment Madison, and in Jackson. Everybody's favorite coach at the podium for a press conference, a.k.a. Mike Leach. But, JB, my call screen says Voice of Super Friends introducing Mike Leach.
That's correct, man. We've got
What is Super Friends?
Super Friends was a comic book gone cartoon back in the mid-'70s.
Uh-huh.
Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Wonder, those folks.
Okay.
Super Twins, where they put their rings together and go, make us say do, and they wear whatever, like a building.
Okay, I can kind of picture it in my head now, like the voice of, like the intro to the old Batman show.
Right.
Okay, so the Voice of Super Friends introducing Mike Leach right now on the Davini Equipment phone line. Let's see. What's up?
All the way from his office in Stark Vegas, Mississippi, here's Mike Leach. Well, hey, how are you doing, Matt?
Coach Leach, I'm doing well. The question is, after a couple of tough ball games, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good as far as, the health-wise. And, been doing some, lots of stuff out at the football field.
I would think so. I would think you've been at the football field during a week of practice with Texas A&M coming into town. Coach, before I let you go, what do you think about the Aggies?
We're obviously going to have to watch out for Kellen Mond, he's doing pretty good. From what I've been told, it's better than last year. And, the defense, the guys up front look pretty good. And, hopefully they'll put Coke at my podium. You know, I want to have it stashed in my refrigerator too. And, you know, that would be pretty good. Also, what would also be good is, you know, some Hall's cough drop. That would be pretty good.
Yeah. We got to get rid of that cold for sure, Coach. Well, look, hey,
maybe some Mucinex.
that might help also. Some Tamiflu, a flu shot, something, or even a COVID vaccine. Coach, a.k.a. Mike Leach, thanks for the call. Have a good weekend.
All right. See you, Matt.
See ya. He was doing a lot of snorting, wasn't he? The thing about Coach Leach and his press conferences that cracks me up is he'll answer the question, and then the other guy will be like asking a question. They're in mid-sentence in their question. He goes, that clearing that throat. He's a hoot, man. All right, all your texts coming up. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasin' sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' sausage, countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first
on the 50,000 watt sports powerhouse. ESPN 105.9 The Zone and streaming. Check it out online now at thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. 3 weeks into the SEC season during the middle of a pandemic, and COVID outbreaks on football teams are popping up all over the place. Add another one to the list. According to senior football writer at AL.com, Matt Zenitz, Lane Kiffin confirming on the SEC teleconference that Ole Miss is dealing with a COVID outbreak, per Lane Kiffin. Quote, "We're just trying to manage it the best we can." Lane Kiffin, this is Brandon Marcello. Lane Kiffin says Ole Miss dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak. Any shortages that could postpone the game against Arkansas? Quote, "I hope not. If we were to play today, we could play. Hopefully it stays that way." So, those two pieces of information and quotes from Lane Kiffin coming out of the coach's teleconference going on really kind of right now. It's just for media over the phone. But you add that information up, it sounds like Ole Miss has had a little bit of an outbreak, but in terms of how many and which positions, how many, it would allow them to play. He says if we were to play a game today, we'd be able to play today. And then he says hopefully it stays that way, meaning if it adds up, if you have if they jump into daily testing and today and then tomorrow and then Friday and more pop up, then that could affect their game with Arkansas.
Did you see where LSU's radio team is in quarantine due to COVID?
No.
Yeah, just researching this Florida LSU stuff. And when you mentioned Matt Zemek, I follow him, have been for years, and perused his timeline and found out Florida has 19 confirmed positive tests. LSU's radio team is in quarantine due to COVID, and he reminds everybody that the CDC advises a 14-day quarantine after a positive test.
Yeah.
So lots of people are calling for them to cancel the game, and even Mullen has retracted or tried to retract. I'm not sure you can retract what you say, but he has apologized and got off his horse about packing the swamp.
Yeah, about packing the stadium. I saw that in some of his comments earlier today. Okay, so, I'll try my best throughout the show to just kind of continue to feed you this information as it pops up. So many people listen as you're at work or driving around behind the wheel. You're not flipping through your phone, checking Twitter like I'm able to do here. So if anything pops up there, I will give that to you. On the Florida LSU game, they are holding a press conference at Florida at 2 p.m. When I say 2 p.m., that's according to Andy Staples. And I'm trying to think, JB, 2 p.m.
It's right on the line, but I think, they're an hour ahead. They're Eastern time.
They're Eastern, right?
So it'll be 1 o'clock local.
So maybe in about half an hour from now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be your announcement. They're going to announce the game being postponed. It's starting to leak out there more, like Brody Miller, who covers LSU for The Athletic, says LSU versus Florida expected to be postponed due to COVID-19 outbreak at Florida. Announcement coming soon. All right, so pretty much you can just read those tea leaves. Go ahead and scratch that one off the books. It won't happen this weekend. Same for Missouri Vanderbilt. That'll be 2 games here in week 4. And keep an eye on the other. Keep an eye on Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin confirming they had a little bit of an outbreak right now. They could play. Got to see how it goes the rest of the week. They are set to go to Arkansas this weekend. Keep an eye on Ole Miss. You do have to keep an eye on A&M. Now, they are doing, I think, according to them, daily tests, or they've tested twice since the ball game on Saturday. Jimbo Fisher says A&M's clean to this point. That's good. If Ole Miss has an outbreak, it leads you to want to go, well, they just played Alabama. Keep an eye on Alabama, who one of the maybe the biggest regular season game of the year, JB, supposed to happen this weekend, right, between Georgia and Alabama?
Georgia and Alabama, and yeah. And, you know, up until this year, the Florida LSU game was always a pretty game that dictated a lot to happen in the seedings for the each division championship.
Sure. Right. So all that stuff popping up. Looks like you're going to get it. And I go back to it again. It's not surprising. My belief has been, I think you and I have talked about it here on the show a good bit, that, my belief has always been that they wouldn't get all the games in on time in the SEC. I doubt very seriously that all 14 teams play 10 games. You're going to have some that miss games before it's all over.
You've said that from the beginning.
Yeah. And so
maybe that's why they built in those 2 weeks of open dates for everybody. You're either open on, was it the 17th or the 24th? Is that right?
Yeah. And then really one at the back end also, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
So there's really two different opportunities to make them up. And it is why they put them in there the way they did, give themselves the most flexibility. And I think that's the thing to me. The surprising thing is that all 14 teams played all of their first 3 games of the season without any interruptions. It's pretty doggone good, and you consider that. Managing and testing and distancing and trying to keep it from happening. But, look, here's what happens. You're 3 weeks into it, less than a month into it, and everybody's traveled. Okay, the teams have jumped on airplanes, have flown to new locations, have gotten on buses to ride from the airport to the hotel, slept in hotel rooms. Who knows who slept in, and they're all doing the best they can, but this thing is widespread, right? So it's just, the numbers catch up with you eventually. The way this thing works, the way this thing spreads, it just eventually catches up to you. Joey asked a question on the live stream. He said, "Hey, Matt, are you not allowed to travel with the team this season?" No, we're not. We're not allowed to travel with the team this season. That's very different, from years past. As long as I can remember. Road trip, you got the football team, the football staff on the airplane, along with all supporting staff, whether if anything from, you think about photographers to all your GAs, your strength and conditioning staff. Sometimes, depending on the flight and the size of the plane, there might be family members of staff members and things like that. Academic staff are on there. A portion of maybe your equipment and managerial staff, because many of them are already on they've taken the equipment there, but some are on the plane. And then a radio crew, we would be on that plane too. Play-by-play guy, color analyst, sideline guy, and at least one engineer, usually one engineer, radio engineer, all on the plane, traveling, on the buses, in the team hotel. That's just routine for road games. Well, not this year. All that extra staff ain't going. If you're going to the game, either working it or going, you get there on your own somehow to effectively isolate the team as much as you can. But still, eventually it just catches up, I think. They're on campus. Many are going to on-campus classes, but many aren't. But, you add up 2-3 weeks of taking 100 guys or 80 guys, putting them on a bus, putting them on a plane, putting them on another bus, putting them in a hotel, putting them in the stadium, then on a bus to go to the airport to come home, then on a plane to come home, then on another bus to get back to the facility to get home. Just the numbers catch up with you. All right. Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Tide Man hanging on the phone. What's up, Tide Man?
Hey, what's going on? Just wanted to get your thoughts on the game against Georgia coming up Saturday.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Okay, yeah. And I am not feeling very optimistic. I just think Georgia is a more well-rounded, balanced team than we are. I don't see us. I don't know how we're going to resurrect our defense in 1 week's time from that disaster this past weekend. I also wanted to get your thoughts on Pete Golding. I really hate to be one of these guys that throws coaches under the bus. I don't know enough about football to pass judgment on the guy, but Charlie Strong, I mean, we know his resume. We know how good of a defensive mind he is. He's on staff. I don't know why we don't go ahead and make him defensive coordinator. But anyway, you know more about football than I do, so I want to get your thoughts on Pete Golding and the defensive situation, and then get your thoughts on the Georgia-Bama game this weekend. We got the offensive firepower, obviously, but I think Georgia's defense is better than, or their offense is better than our defense is. So looking at it from that perspective, I'm just I won't be surprised if Georgia wins by 10 points to 2 touchdowns. But I've learned never to count my tide out every time I underestimate us. To my shame, they always prove how good they are. But anyway, I want to get your thoughts on it, and y'all have a great day.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. Yeah, Tide Man, Alabama, for a lot of reasons, it's not a game they should lose. Preseason, I was clear that I thought Alabama would not be losing a game this year. And they may not. But I agree with you that if you're an Alabama fan, you look at this, I don't know that you're all that optimistic right now. Now, games in Tuscaloosa, Georgia, the team that's got to travel, okay, but, home and away is not what it was this year, and we know that. And I look at what Alabama's going through on the defensive side of the ball. The yards and stuff are not going to come against this Georgia defense the way they have against these other teams that Alabama has played. You're talking about a Missouri defense or an Ole Miss defense. I mean, Georgia's defense is in another universe from those. And, there's something about it. After watching Alabama, watching Georgia, it leads me to believe that I think Georgia may have the upper hand in this ballgame. We'll get into it more during the show, but I'm starting to think this undefeated Bama prediction may be false.
Stand between you and the tree stand with this great offer on the fast, durable Kubota Sidekick, featuring a gas-powered engine that delivers a top
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime. in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan, put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing Sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wyatt stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from
For you, Mississippi.
Online transmission is ready, sir.
Live online at thezone1059.com and
Keep your radio turned on
to ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
All right, back with you in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Staying connected to you here on the show because of C Spire and around the clock in my everyday life. Uploading, posting, streaming, tweeting, Instagramming, all of that. Because of C Spire, the number one network in Mississippi, C Spire. They are customer inspired. So there are two major issues right now on my plate, JB.
Yeah.
Number one.
It's not full.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. I would like a big full plate of
country pleasing sausage.
Well, yeah, country pleasing sausage. Some vegetables. What kind of vegetables would I want with that? Maybe some corn on the cob.
Fried okra.
Some fried okra. Green beans like my grandmother used to make them.
Mm-hmm.
Piled high.
If you talk food, I got to tell you, man, I had me a nice Philly cheesesteak sandwich before I got here today.
Atta boy.
Man, you talking about, you come to town, I'm going to take you to Live Oaks, let you get some of that good food.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Man.
I'll take it. All right. So, no. Here they are. Okay, number one is the COVID issues popping up in the SEC. It's about to change. Their schedules are about to get totally out of whack. It's about to happen. Here's an example of that. Okay, Florida LSU is going to be postponed because of COVID issues at Florida. One game, Missouri Vandy, already postponed. Now Ole Miss says they've had a small outbreak. They could play today as long as they don't have more tests. They can play, but if they have more positive tests, they may not be able to play this weekend. All this different stuff. And do the math on this, JB, Mr. Math. Ross Dellinger puts on Twitter, Florida's next game is in 10 days against Missouri. They began receiving positive test results Monday morning, more on Tuesday. It's 10 days of isolation for a positive test, 14 days of quarantine for a close contact. And he says, you do the math.
Yeah.
So because of
able to play either game.
That's it, right? Because of a 14-day quarantine deal, outbreaks like this are going to not only postpone one game, they're pretty much always going to postpone two.
Well, and the key factor that I have not heard or been able to find any info on up to this point is I want to know the tracing. I want to know, the guys that got it, were they playing on the field against A&M? Because if that's the case, then like you said a moment ago, you sure don't want State and A&M to be playing one another.
No.
And so I don't know, man. It's kind of it just throws a wrench into the cogwheel, man.
It sure does. It sure does. All right,
as they say, it's the proverbial in the punch bowl.
Yep, we get it. What was the line on Caddyshack when Carl Spackler had to clean out the pool?
Doesn't smell like
it's no big deal. And the woman goes, and she passes out, right?
I watched that last night.
You know, the homecoming queen and I, we watched Funny Farm. we know what's going to happen, and we crack up every time. No, here's the other major issue. The other major issue on my plate right now, JB, is people who don't like candy corn.
I saw that on Twitter.
I can't fathom. So, over at delish.com.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Delish.com. They have a map, favorite Halloween candy map. Every state in the union, they have done the research, allegedly. I don't know if it's according to sales, like the number one selling. I guess it's the number one selling candy in that particular state, probably. And they probably just look at the month of October. You know, that's how, I'm just guessing that's where it came from. Well, every state out here it says. My contention is this. If you want to get it accurate, you want to do it accurately, just wipe the whole map clean, write in big letters over America, candy corn, and say you're done with it. That's going to be I would think that's the prevailing favorite Halloween candy, but some people have completely jumped all over me for that. Even one person, Brian Haydad, called me a monster.
Oh, wow.
He said, you're a monster.
You're talking about Halloween candy. You're not talking about candy that's around
right.
all year long, that's available only now in different packaging, that's just for Halloween. No, you're talking about a Halloween candy.
Halloween candy.
Right.
Well, the map has, for the state of Mississippi, says that the favorite Halloween candy here is Payday. The Payday candy bar. That's what it says.
Have you ever tried the chocolate Payday?
No, I haven't. Sounds good. Peanuts and chocolate, can't go wrong. They also said Payday for Louisiana. Arkansas is Skittles. Tennessee is Blow Pops. Alabama is Starburst. Now, Starburst hugely
bad for my teeth.
Bad for everybody's teeth. Yeah. Starburst, they're kind of predominant. You go out to a place like New Mexico, Mr. Goodbar. What?
Don't be knocking Mr. Goodbar.
I like it, but I'm just saying, like, wow, they're the only one in the 50 here that says Mr. Goodbar. They're selling more of those in New Mexico.
It's like, don't be going busting rank on Captain Crunch.
Let's see here. Arizona's Three Musketeers, Nevada Kit Kat. What else around here, though? Georgia Starburst, South Carolina Starburst, North Carolina Crunch Bar.
I guess that's a Nestle's Crunch Bar.
Yeah. Virginia Sour Patch Kids. Some state up there in New England is Twizzlers. That's about right. That's about right.
Licorice or the red ones?
The red ones. See, because up there in Maine it says licorice is their favorite, which is horrible. Horrible.
It's nasty.
But how can you not like candy corn? Man, I'm all about it. Brian Haydad called me a monster.
When I was a kid, I would eat them in threes. I would, bite off the colors one at a time.
Yeah. Oh, right. And look, here's the thing. How can you like things with sugar but not like sugar? Because if you say you don't like candy corn, that's basically what you're saying is you don't like sugar. That's all it is. It's basically unflavored sugar. That's what candy corn is. Somebody sent me just a GIF of a monkey sticking his tongue out to illustrate how they feel about candy corn.
Oh, I thought they were coming back from yesterday's discussion about monkeys.
We had a lot of monkeys on the show yesterday. Nick says candy corn is only edible with peanuts. It is edible with peanuts. It is edible with pretzels. It's very
trail mix.
It's very good by itself.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just surprising at some of the
what are some of the other people that are giving you as replacements for the best Halloween candy.
Right. Instead of Payday, the Payday candy bar.
Well, instead of anything that you can get year round. I mean, I'm sure you can get candy corn year round.
You can. Dr. Debbie says on Twitter, it should say Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. She thinks that's number one in Mississippi in terms of your favorite Halloween candy. Nick on my candy corn statement said, "Sir, I'm going to have to call the authorities on this. This statement can't stand." Marshall Ramsey commented and said, "In Mississippi, we love a payday, but I don't think we mean candy." I think he's right about that. I see
what he did there, yeah.
I think he's right about that. But anyway, go check out the map. It's on my Twitter feed. I'm Radio Wyatt if you want to see that. I'm all, look, you want to make me happy? Give me candy corn. This time of year, my wife, she'll buy 3 or 4 bags of it and just stick it in a drawer in there because she knows I forage on candy corn just from time to time throughout the day. I do throw it in my hand with pretzels and eat that together. But the idea that at Halloween somebody can't eat candy corn, if I were trick-or-treating and you put candy corn in my little bag, I'm happy. I'm happy with that. Really. Happy to have it. Here's a better question for you. If you're trick-or-treating, or when you trick-or-treated as a kid, what was the worst thing somebody could give you in your bag?
Those black and orange fudge,
yes,
whatever nasty things.
What are those?
I don't know. They went in the garbage as soon as I got home.
They come in this wax wrapper, and it's orange and one's black, and you open it up, and it's this tan piece of in there.
Exactly.
And you don't, like, what is that?
Yeah.
Don't give me that.
And nobody would trade for it either.
You can just keep it.
Be like Dances with Wolves. No trade.
This is funny, but I disagree. Well, actually, maybe I do agree. Unnamed texter says candy corn is like fruitcake at Christmas. Look, I like fruitcake. Maybe I'm getting down to the bottom of this.
My mom makes divinity every Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Bring that on. Bring that on.
It is divine.
The real Eric says, one Halloween, I ran out of candy and started handing out green apples. You should have seen the dirty looks from kids that I got. I mean, what's wrong with an apple? Give them an apple, man. That's good for you. Payday.
There it is. Chris on the Country Pleasing text line gives us the official
name for
inside those nasty black and orange wrappers. He says, peanut butter fudge.
Peanut butter fudge. Let me tell you something. I've had real peanut butter fudge, and the stuff that's inside that orange wrapper ain't peanut butter fudge. Or as Jake Wimberly would say, it's not. I love candy corn. Jason in Flagstaff, I love candy corn. JB, in the break, you got to check out Marshall Ramsey's response.
Okay.
On Twitter. Check it out.
Has he done his egg thing yet?
I don't know.
Need to find that out.
We do need to find out. All right, hour 2 coming up. Y'all stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. the best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. A line with autopay and paperless billing. Even without autopay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wyatt stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without ever setting foot on it. They've got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. It's really cool. You got to check it out. And if you're selling property, Matt's going to get you consistent reports, comprehensive reports of who's looking, how many people looked at your listing. You need to let him help you. Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. Call him, 601-408-5155. Hey, if you listen to the show, you know that the new third hour of the Matt Wyatt Show is brought to you by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Here's what you need to know. If you're looking for a weekend home or condo, full-time residence, investment property, maybe just an apartment to lease, you got a student going to school at state, call Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. In Starkville, it's 323-8618, or look them up online, overstreetproperties.com.
To the Matt Wyatt Show.
Live in the studio.
Online at thezone1059.com and on your radio at ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Back with you here on this Wednesday. in the Farm Bureau studio, Farm Bureau Insurance across the state of Mississippi. Go with the home team, your hometown heroes, your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. Available to you in all 82 counties across the state of Mississippi. Good folks that are right there at home. That's why we call them hometown heroes. Just right there. Boom. You need somebody at 11 o'clock on Saturday night. Something happened. Text your guy. He's 2 blocks down the road. He shows up, gets to work. That's the way Farm Bureau does it. Trust me, seen it with my own eyes. So I can't recommend them highly enough. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. JB's here. Most importantly, you are here on Hump Day one more time. One more time. Here we go. Do the hump.
Do the Humpty Hump. Come on, do the Humpty Hump. Check me out, y'all. Do the Humpty Hump. Just watch me do the Humpty Hump. Yeah. Do you know what I'm doing?
All right. Hump Day. Sven, who's watching the live stream, says, hey, it's Hump Day, so it's time for some predictions, and he let them rip. State versus the Aggies. He thinks State wins 27-24. Bama, Georgia. He's got Bama 35-17. Kentucky versus the Vols. He's got Vols 34-21. Sven with picks all the way from Germany. He's going to Humpty dance all the way to the bank, he said.
Come on, do the Humpty Hump. Check me out, y'all. Do the Humpty Hump. Just watch.
All right, it's official as of right now. It is official. The Florida LSU game for this weekend is postponed. It most definitely is postponed. That news popping up. Southeastern Conference put it out there. Here's the official tweet. The LSU at Florida football game this weekend. Don't you just love that when it goes away? Is postponed due to positive tests and subsequent quarantine of individuals within the Florida football program. The action is consistent with SEC COVID-19 management requirements, tentatively rescheduled for December the 12th. Yep. So move it to the back end of the season, and then we'll see what happens with games coming up. If you are just tuning in, there was also news within the last hour that Ole Miss is dealing with some positive COVID tests. Lane Kiffin confirming that on the SEC teleconference. He did say that as of right now, it is not the number of tests that would keep them from being able to play the game, but that they're going to have to monitor it going forward, and that they hope it doesn't change. If they have more, it could put them in a position where they wouldn't meet those minimum thresholds of having the number of players at certain positions and all that kind of stuff to be able to to go and play it this weekend.
I was going to ask you, man, what do they get to determine how many people have it before they have to shut it down, or is it based on like who and what position?
Yeah, both. As I remember, now I'm not going to remember all the specifics right here, JB, but when the SEC first put out there on their website, and I think this goes back to, they did this in August. I think it was sometime in August.
Right.
They put the news release out. It was on their website. They called it the COVID-19 management requirements for SEC schools this fall for football. And so it was like a certain number. You have to have a certain number of scholarship players available. But in that number, it had to include, you must have like one quarterback available. You've got to have a minimum of like, it was something like maybe 7 offensive linemen, a minimum of like 4 or 5 defensive linemen. So at certain positions, there are number requirements too for you to be able to go into it and play the ball game.
So that would be like if 19 players tested positive, and of those 19, none of them are starters, we're going to go ahead and play. But if it's 19 people and one of them's your best quarterback, your best wide receiver, and you still have those positions that can step up and take those places, you can't just say we're opting out this week.
Yeah.
Or we're shutting it down this week.
Right.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, what you said seems fair. It just doesn't seem right if your best quarterback, your best linebacker, or whatever, are among the 15 or 20, then you go, oh no, we're not playing. But they're all. If you have your third and fourth string get it, you're going to go, okay, you guys just stay over there for a couple of weeks and we'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, and that's it. They're dependent on some honesty going on there. Quotes coming out of the Scott Strickland press conference right now down at Florida. Scott Strickland says it was a significant number of cases. Robbie Andrew, who covers Florida, the Gators would have only 50 scholarship players available for the game, 3 below the SEC limit. So
that answers our question.
That answers our question. Right. David Waters, who covers the Gators and does a very successful, very good, comprehensive Florida football podcast, said 18 scholarship players and 3 walk-ons have tested positive. Through contact tracing, quarantine, and injured players, the Gators have less than 50 available. He then went on to say players and coaches affected have mild symptoms and are asymptomatic so far. Suspicion is that the trip to College Station is the cause. That is according to Scott Strickland. Another way it was worded by one of the reporters is that Strickland said the spread may have started on the road trip to and from Texas A&M.
So it's not necessarily College Station's where they picked it up. It's just they were together for a long time. And if you remember, you and I talked about when they were trying to figure out what the schedule was going to be. We said you want to keep it regionally where you're not traveling.
Yeah.
You hopefully don't have to get on a plane.
Right.
And what was the first thing when the schedule was released? You and I both said,
"Well,
man, I can't going to College Station."
The Gators are going to College Station. That debunks that theory right there.
There you go.
Brandon Marcello says some Florida players late last week didn't report symptoms to staff before the trip to Texas A&M, according to AD Scott Strickland. They thought it was allergies or something else. So they're pausing all football activities, and it's going to definitely, set their season back. Right now, at this very moment, where I stand and with this vantage point, JB, I feel like saying that the teams that play for the SEC championship in Atlanta are going to likely be the ones that are the least affected by COVID. But that's probably too big a blanket statement. I mean, you can be very, maybe one of the least affected, but you're not any good and you didn't win your games that you played, But I just think that this is the first of many like this that is coming, y'all. The positive tests. The reason they're doing all this, they're not going to let a player go out there and practice and spread it to someone else. It's not that they're on death's door. They are not, but the virus is dangerous. We do know that. And so this is out of abundance of caution. All that pretty much goes without saying. So this stuff's going to pick up. It really is. And just like I said, they are saying it. It likely is caused by the trip out there. And just like I described it, they can take away a lot of the people off the plane, make sure you isolate the football team as much as possible, but still, you put the whole team on buses. Where are those buses coming from? It's not like they have, they're cleaning them like crazy, but still, okay? They put them on buses, bus them to the airport, they get on the airplane. Where's the airplane been? Who's been sitting in that seat? How well did they clean it? You fly to A&M. A&M, you got 4 other buses that pick you up. Get on those buses. They bus you to the hotel. You get off the bus, you go in the hotel. Who's been in there? 85 football players in the hotel. They spend the night. They're eating there. They have team meal, all that kind of stuff. Day of the game, they're on buses. They go to the stadium, in the locker room, all that kind of stuff. So, look, there you go. Now, real quick, and then I'm coming to some texts and to a phone call. How about this, JB? David Waters reporting this. Scott Strickland says the travel situation in the SEC will get a review. I wonder what that means. That's all the tweet says. And we're not listening to what he's saying. I'm sure more will come out. But when they say, okay, the travel situation,
I think when you read between those lines, my knee jerk is that they followed every protocol that they were supposed to follow, did everything they did, and they still ended up with positive tests. So, this needs to be looked at further. I guess that's what I would be thinking.
Yeah, the travel situation. Brooks Cubina covers LSU, and he's tuned into this. He says, Strickland says traveling for games will get a close review after Florida's outbreak. It's no secret that this is a challenge shared by all sports teams. He says, traveling will get a close review. And I guess that when you say close review, it's like they're not insinuating they're going to cut out travel. They can't do that and have a season. But
not unless they put them in a bubble.
Right, which they're not going to do.
No.
At this point. But
it'd be ridiculous.
But reviewing, okay, you tested what exactly everything that went on. You tested them. Where'd the buses come from? Let's find out what their protocols are. Okay, the plane. Where did the plane come from? What are their protocols on cleaning the plane? The hotel. Let's learn everything we can about the hotel. Hey, look, I think it's important that Scott Strickland at Florida just said that they did have some players who he's saying didn't report or didn't tell the coaching staff or the staff about some symptoms they might have been having. They thought it was just allergies. And he said that was last week. Because it'd be very easy to sit here and go, well, it may not have been a full student section, but it was close to it, right behind the Florida bench, yelling and screaming with no masks on. Maybe somebody sneezed on the second row and the guy on the bench over there breathed it in, and here we go. I mean, if you want to just speculate as negatively as we can possibly speculate. Hummus and oil, good point. He's watching the live stream. He says there's two issues. Number one is medical, and number two is the COVID regulatory. That's it. And the regulatory is to try and, as much as possible, to prevent the medical part of this. All right, here we go. Joey on the Davini Equipment phone line. Thanks for calling, Joey. What's up?
Hey, Matt. Look, we live in the South. Sinuses are a very real thing.
Oh, yeah.
I've battled them all my life. One medication that was successful is now market. And I can tell you, folks, you don't dismiss. I mean, it's the symptoms. Go get tested. Another thing I would say, Matt, is that 5 out of 4 people are bad at math, and 11 out of 10 of those live in Texas. Because if you believe for any second that was only about 30,000 people in that stadium,
yeah, right.
Your crack pipe is bigger than everyone ever made. You got some seriously good drugs. That stadium was at least half full, Matt. So I don't know if this was Florida or it was Texas. But for Strickland to sit there and act like every protocol was followed, I'd say I'll be telling the truth.
Yeah. Hey, Joey, think about this too. You're talking about the stadium. I was watching, we were watching the Georgia or parts of the Georgia-Tennessee game from our broadcast booth in Lexington before our game on Saturday. And there were a bunch of crowd shots. And that's one thing we kept pointing out is, man, look, there are a lot of people inside Sanford Stadium at Georgia. But then when they would do certain shots at angles, you could see that in most of that stadium, they did seem to have them spaced out very regularly, like a checkerboard almost. It wasn't just
that
sporadic.
may have been true there. But, and I don't know if you've read the book Quiet Strength. If you haven't, you absolutely need to buy that book and read it. But when Dungy was working, one thing they told him, if you walk out into the stadium and the corners are full, he said he learned that if the corners are full, then there's no need to look around the rest of the stadium because it's also full. Just go back and look at that thing. Those corners were pretty hard. It made me think of Dungy Stadium. I promise you there was more than 30,000 people in that stadium.
Yeah.
It may have only been 42, 43. But if you want to tell me it's 30, I'm sorry. That'd be like telling me it was raining in the desert. No, I'm sorry. I'm good. I'm not going for it.
Yeah.
My grandma used to say I fell on the truck, but I learned 6 things since I have. So,
there you go.
But yeah, that's man. Look, this disease or pandemic, whatever virus, whatever you want to call it, it's a real thing. It can make you very, very sick. And some folks deadly sick. But really, I would people listen to this and listen to it from somebody who's had it. If you think you're just stopped up, the allergy season's actually not that bad, because since having COVID, I've been pretty clear since then. So it's probably COVID. Go get tested. Don't get your family and office and other folks sick. It's quarantine's not that bad. I kind of enjoyed the bedroom some days, Matt. Nobody was bothering.
They get you. They left you alone for a little bit. Hey, Joey, I appreciate the phone call, man. Thanks for listening. Call me anytime. Florida AD Scott Strickland, quote, "I really think it could be as simple as not understanding symptoms," he said. "I know people personally who've had sniffles, and a friend of theirs was COVID positive, so they went and got tested, and they had it when they just thought they had something common." And that's Scott Strickland talking about that. Strickland believing the trip to A&M may have been the root cause of the outbreak for Florida, which is, according to Brandon Marcello, 21 players and 2 staff members. The quote is, "It leads you to be a little suspicious that something happened on that trip." Strickland got a call from a trainer on Monday morning that players were showing symptoms after testing on Sunday. Tests came back positive, and they started daily testing. Strickland says some players showing symptoms, runny nose and allergies, late last week traveled to College Station, says that they should have said something sooner before traveling. All right, so more and more coming out of that. Country Pleasing text line, Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. The number, 885-ESPN, 601-885-ESPN. Jason in Flagstaff says, if they had players not reporting symptoms late last week, they already had it before the trip, and now A&M has been exposed. It rains in the desert. It's called monsoon season, LOL. I've seen it, and it's a mess. Well, you're right about that. No, and you're right about the deal. Now, again, we go back to, we're looking at quotes from the AD at Florida, Scott Strickland, local guy. Think a lot of Scott. He says some players showing symptoms, runny noses and allergies late last week traveled to College Station. They should have said something sooner before traveling. You absolutely, Jason, have to put I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying logically. You have to put a bullseye now on A&M's football team, who played against these guys in that game on Saturday, and who Jimbo Fisher said, I think as recently as today on Wednesday in the coaches' teleconference, that they have tested as a team twice since the game, probably Sunday, maybe again this morning, maybe yesterday when the news about Florida came out, but they've tested twice, he says, and they are clean. His quote was, "We're clean at this point." And again, for their sake, you just hope that stays that way. Gator Man on the Country Pleasing text line sent me a picture, and you're right. I mean, there's a portion of the stadium there at Kyle Field that, there's no distancing going on there. They were packed in, at least according to that picture, for sure. Ghost Pepper says, Matt, next time you are out, have JB play some Louis Grizzard. He is the only one who comes close to Clower. Yeah. Ghost Pepper, would you say that Louis Grizzard was to Georgia what Jerry Clower was and is to Mississippi?
I could buy that.
It just seems about
right. Maybe a little blend of Willie Morris, because Grizzard was such a great writer.
Yeah.
Maybe a blend of Willie Morris and Clower.
Yeah. We were talking about the Halloween candy earlier, JB. Anthony from Tupelo said Dr. Debbie would be correct about Reese's Buttercups, especially the minis, the Reese's minis. Here's my thing about that.
They're like M&Ms.
Does anything melt faster in the package than the Reese's Cups? And yeah, look, y'all know this. There's been some Halloweens where y'all been out here trick-or-treating in late October at your house in your neighborhood in Mississippi, sweating your butt off. Been there. We've had others where it's freezing cold, but you've had some trick-or-treating where you felt sorry for some of these poor kids. They're sweating behind that mask. It's 88 degrees and humid. Been there. And we're throwing Reese Cups down in the bag. They've got to eat it in 30 seconds or it's inedible later.
Oh, I took mine home and put them in the fridge.
That's the thing to do. Then they kind of, they get hard again in that weird shape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But a big glass of whole milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Comes with a side of diabetes. That's what it comes with. But enjoy it.
It was good.
It's good while it lasted. Stick around.
Let nothing stand between you and the tree stand with this great offer on the
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country Pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from it. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wyatt stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without a receipt. All right, rolling along with you here on this Wednesday in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team, your home team, Farm Bureau Insurance here in the state of Mississippi. Hometown heroes available to you in all 82 counties across the state. And hey, just a reminder too, if you're not sleeping well, I can help you with that. Well, I can tell you who can help with that. Help you to sleep better? The folks at Nest and Wild. We talk about great Mississippi companies on this show. C Spire, Farm Bureau Insurance, many, many others. Country Pleasing Sausage. Nest and Wild are making mattresses. It is the best mattress I have ever slept on. The Homecoming Queen will tell you the same thing. They are a Mississippi company. Their product, the mattress, the base, everything they sell you is 100% American made. Every mattress they sell, 12 inches thick, not 8 or 10 like a lot of the ones you have now or that you're sleeping on now that you buy elsewhere. Everyone from a twin all the way up to the biggest king size, 12-inch thick. And you can get a discount, too. If you use the code BULLY20, 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 when you make your purchase at nestandwild.com, you get a 20% discount, and you get a free pillow top mattress pad to go with it. Okay? So nestandwild.com, use code BULLY20, BULLY20, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And here's the thing about it, too. You buy a mattress from them, you have up to 99 nights to sleep on it to make a decision if you want to keep it or not. It's a fantastic deal, and it is a great mattress. Check it out. Nestandwild.com. Patrick is on the Davini Equipment phone line. What's up, Patrick?
I'm so happy to be able to talk to you today, my brother.
Same here.
Listen, I want to talk defense, man.
All right.
I want to talk spread offense and defense. I done figured this thing out, Matt. This is what's going on. It's not bad defense that's being played in college football these days. It's the fact that the spread offense has been mastered. It is an offense designed for open spaces. That simply means, Matt, that yes, you need good line play, but the spread offense neutralizes great defensive lines, and it's all about open spaces. You got to recruit now the very best cornerbacks that you can get. You got to have a cornerback that can be able to cover, be able to tackle, be able to think in open spaces. Same thing with safeties and linebackers. You got to be able to put a collection. There can be great defenses, but it's going to be a long time before we see a really, really great defense because of the masterful minds of the spread offense. Now, Matt, you watch football, you play football, and you know the game. The only time you see the spread offense somewhat get bogged down is in that red zone, maybe goal line inside the 10, perhaps. Now, if you got a good quarterback and that can make good decisions and players doing what they're supposed to do, yeah, they can score. But that's the one time that the defense seemed like they got a chance to stop it. Yeah. This is going to have to be the trend. There's nothing wrong with Alabama's defense. There's nothing wrong with some of these other defenses. It's the fact that the spread offense is the most perfect offense that's been created in a long time. Now, I don't like running the spread on the 2-yard line. I don't like running the spread inside of 1 yard. I believe in lining up behind the center and power that thing and get that 1 yard or that half yard or whatever. I just don't see it. But I understand why teams do it. They've been successful all over the field. Then when they get to the line, they used to running the spread. They think automatically that's going to work there. That's the only time that the spread gets kind of bogged down. That gives the defense a chance. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to find the very best corners and the very best athletes in the secondary and the linebacker that you can probably find. Yeah, you still need good defensive linemen, but it doesn't matter about the defensive lineman now when you're running the spread perfect. It's all about open spaces. I want to listen to what you got to say. Hold me on, JP. Let me listen to Mr. Matt Wyatt.
Patrick, I appreciate the call. Yeah, and hang on there. So I'm looking. Statistics don't tell you everything. I repeat this every now and then, try to get a chuckle out of people, but I heard a long time ago that statistics are like a bikini. They will show you a lot, but not everything. So having said that, I'm looking at Alabama and Georgia. You said, there's nothing wrong with Alabama's defense, right? So Bama's played Missouri, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss. They've given up 19, 24, and 48, respectively. And you look at Georgia's defense, they've played Arkansas, Auburn, and Tennessee. And Georgia's defense has given up 10, 6, and 21, respectively. Now I'm kind of going around to the other side of the tree here to come back and get to the point on the spread, and that's your point. But you mentioned Alabama. I'm going, okay, their three opponents, Missouri, A&M, and Ole Miss. Ole Miss's offenses look good. Put up points on Florida. Florida's defense hadn't been lights out. Frankly, neither has Alabama's. Bama has given up 19 to Missouri, 24 to A&M, and 48 to Ole Miss. Those three opponents that Alabama's played, Missouri, A&M, Ole Miss, are, I don't think, as good as the three opponents Georgia has faced. Arkansas, Auburn, and Tennessee. Yet, Georgia's defense has, shut people down. They didn't shut down Tennessee early, but they shut them down late and gave up 10 to Arkansas on the road, 6 to Auburn, and then 21 to Tennessee. So I wonder why Georgia's defense has been so much better. Arkansas, first year, Kendall Briles, first game out of the chute, they gave up 10 points. Auburn, experienced quarterback, sophomore, definitely experienced coach, spread offense. And Tennessee, kind of a hybrid deal. They'll shotgun it, spread you out, zone read you, zone run, but they'll also power you some. So a little different. And you again, I'm kind of going around here, but just looking, A&M puts up 24 on Alabama. Ole Miss puts up 48. We know what they did on Alabama. Alabama's defense is not bad. They're just not the Alabama defense we're used to, whether they're playing a spread or not. I feel comfortable in saying that. Georgia's defense is legit. Georgia's defense, rushing defense, 38 yards a ball game through 3 games. No rushing touchdowns. Total defense, Georgia, 236 yards a game, have allowed 3 touchdowns, period. Alabama very average or below average in both of those, rushing defense and total defense. So, the spread, Patrick. Does it eliminate the necessity of defensive linemen on the other side? Well, you're right. The spread is all about, you're spreading the field formationally, and then you're running things to the space that the defense is allowing you to run it into. That's why I'm looking for multiple options on this side of the field. I could give it based if the defensive end stays out. If he falls down, I'll keep it as a quarterback and run, and then I'll decide, do I run it or throw it? That's RPO stuff. It's a version of the spread. And, yeah, so there are times when you are zone blocking, you are running you are trying to get to the edge as fast as you can, which, that's going to kind of eliminate a defensive tackle. But you still have to stand in that pocket and throw it. I don't know that it necessarily eliminates the need for good players in a defensive front. I know this, if you don't, ask Ole Miss, if you don't have horses in the defensive front, what happens? I mean, they're giving up points right and left. So there's got to be something to it. But I think where you were nailing it, Patrick, is in the era of the spread offense, but that's pretty much everybody now. Corners are the key. The corners are the key. If you don't have it and you can't lock people down on the outside, you better be good on offense because you're going to give up points in this era. If you can, though, lock people down on the outside, win on the outside. Look at LSU last year. You just consistently, you're winning one-on-one, whatever on the outside, and it puts the whole game, moves the whole game in. Stuff on the numbers is eliminated 9 out of 10 plays. And that eliminates me as a guy running the spread. It takes away this element I have of spreading y'all out. It doesn't matter if I spread you out because I still have to run my offense in the middle of the field. I can't do anything out here on the numbers because you're covering me. I've always said, too, I mean, the importance of that position, corner, to me is illustrated by the fact that it's the hardest job on a football field. The hardest job on the football field is covering a receiver in man-to-man. There is nothing on that field more difficult than that. Well, if that's the hardest job, then it may be the most important to find somebody who can do it. So I like the call, Patrick. I don't know that I wholesale agree with you on the spread offense. The way that it's run, it eliminates the importance of the defensive lineman. But I certainly agree with you that it sheds light on the overall importance of having great corners, because if you don't, they're going to eat you up. No question about it. Not to mention, they'll just throw screen to your side until you're sick of it because you can't come up there and beat the block and make the tackle. Great corners will do that. Big corners will do that. And those little smoke screens are a staple of all these spread offenses also. Easy completions. We didn't have those in 97. That's my excuse. Y'all stick around.
Get a great deal.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull. There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams Summertime in Mississippi. Country Pleasin' Sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasin' Sausage, countrypleasin.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasin', please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without ever setting foot on it. They've got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. It's really cool. You got to check it out. And if you're selling property, Matt's going to get... Hey! All right. Here we go. Rolling along with you. Coming to the phone in a bit, but first, JB, I got to give you a quick story.
Yeah, man, I'm always in the mood for a good story.
Related to yesterday's show?
Oh, yeah. With the HQ?
Well, no, not that part of the show. Just it's
that was a
different
good part.
Different. Yeah, that was the good part. The gorilla exhibit at the San Diego Zoo has been temporarily closed since Saturday after one of the gorillas aggressively smashed another into the glass viewing window.
Holy mackerel.
Robert De La Pena told local news station CBS 8 that he was at the zoo, which was closed for months earlier this year due to coronavirus pandemic, and witnessed the incident with his family. Quote, As we were watching them, all the gorillas were running around the enclosure. They were getting riled up. According to him, one of the gorillas walked in front of the enclosure, slammed another gorilla into the glass. It broke it, cracked it. I jokingly turned to my mom and said, "This is like the one in Nebraska."
Well, you know why that happened, don't you?
Why?
Well, the San Diego Zoo. You know what's going on in San Diego? ALCS.
They're riled up.
They got riled up because Jose Altuve can't throw a ball through a... He couldn't throw a piece of sand on the beach.
No, you were riled up about that. The gorillas are just being gorillas. San Diego Zoo Global told CBS 8 in a statement, the zoo says this: on Saturday afternoon, our visitors witnessed the gorillas in an exciting moment of interaction. One that is natural behavior in their habitat. They hit the glass viewing window, but it is 6 layers of glass, and just an internal layer was cracked. The area was roped off from guests, and the gorillas were off habitat while damage was assessed. Well, you better be glad. An exciting moment of interaction. That's what you call that? An exciting moment of interaction.
I'm not sure that's what I'd call it.
Gorillas, man. Hey.
I wouldn't want to be with you at a zoo because evidently the gorillas and you can have some wavelength.
He spoke to me. spoke right into my soul. I heard every word that gorilla said to me, and he said it with his stare. I hadn't felt like that in a while. He looked right at me, and I heard him say the words, "Hey, buddy, you are lucky. You just don't know."
That's hilarious.
There's a moat between me and you need to be thankful for that moat. In fact, if I were to give it all I've got, I might jump that moat. You know that, don't you? And I nodded my head. Yes, sir. I know that. Mm-hmm. I got it.
And then you said, "See ya."
I said, "Hey, let's go." Next.
Tree.
Let's go look at the donkeys over in the farm section of this zoo. That was in Memphis. That gorilla spoke to me, man. I knew what he was saying. Those eyes.
Kind of like Dr. Doolittle, huh?
Ooh. Yes. Yes. But a much more graphic version of the conversations. That he told me what he was going to kick if he had the opportunity. And I heard it. I will never mess with a gorilla. I don't want to go back.
You didn't look at him and go, "There ain't nothing between us but air and opportunity, big boy."
I don't think I've ever been stared at quite like that. Okay, Jeff is hanging on the Davini Equipment phone line, 995-1059. What's up, Jeff?
Hi, Matt. Hey, I was thinking this week about our coach, Mr. Leach, or Coach Leach, and I want to preface this by saying I'm an alumni and a state fan, and so I got a lot invested in this. But I was thinking he reminds me of also a Southeastern Conference coach that was very successful. The media loved him. He was great in interviews. I mean, you go to the podium, it's must-see TV. Also, he occasionally threw players under the bus, like Leach did this past week. Also, he's very stubborn. He said his offense would work. I don't care what you say, his offense will work. Do you know who I'm speaking of?
No.
Les Miles at LSU. And now he's at Kansas, and he's about to get fired. And just FYI, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story, his AD got fired along with him. Just think about this. Cohen, if this does not pan out, Cohen will be 0-2 with Moorhead and Leach. Give me your thoughts, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate the call. Well, if it doesn't work out, you see what happens if it doesn't work out. And that is true. I mean, if Leach doesn't work out, then John would be 0-2 on football hires, So it's got to work out.
Aren't we a little ahead of ourselves?
Yes, and that's right. We're a little ahead of ourselves. Other thing, Jeff, is, look, I'm just being honest with you, man. I'm telling you from my perspective. I'd say this about any coach. It doesn't have to be my school. It could be any school. Number one, I don't have a problem with coaches calling out players. I don't have a problem with that. But that's not really what happened. I mean, yes, I'm kind of old school in that. Players generally don't really mind it. Now, maybe today's players are a little different. Are we even talking about millennials anymore? Or is it something else, some other term? Whatever. Maybe they're a little different now. I don't know. But I think in general they don't, because they're getting sliced all to pieces every time they watch the film and every little mistake they made, because that's the way coaching is. You're trying to eliminate every little mistake. So they're kind of used to it. Players don't generally mind it. It is fans and media who generally run with this whole throwing players under the bus narrative. And you hear it. You heard it at times with Miles. You heard it at times with Freeze in regards to Bo Wallace. Throwing players under the bus. And look, this thing about like Leach the other day, quote unquote throwing players under the bus. I mean, Jeff, it's just not true. You're just repeating something that is just, I don't think there's any basis in it. I heard word for word. We were listening in the post game to Leach's post game press conference. We normally don't do that, but because of COVID, there's no media sitting in front of a coach for a post game press conference. It's all done digitally, right? So Neil can't go down to the locker room after the game, record the interview with Coach one-on-one, and then air that or do it live. He can't do it. So the way that they feel that obligation of having Coach, the head coach on our broadcast from Learfield, the school broadcast, is we do it digitally. So he gets in there for a press conference via Zoom, and we on our broadcast get to ask the first two questions of the coach and then continue to broadcast his live Zoom post-game press conference if we choose to do, which we do. So I'm standing there in a booth with headphones on, and I hear the whole thing. Well, go back and listen to it. Y'all can find it online. He talked for probably 3 minutes total on that subject if you were to put a stopwatch on it. And about 2 minutes and 30 seconds of that was about coaching. Jeff, it was, we got to coach better. I got to coach better. It's, all this. I mean, it was about coaching. We're not communicating, apparently, what we need to communicate to get through to them. And then sort of almost as a throwaway comment on the back end of it is when he said, and if all that fails, then we may have to take a look and see who really wants to be here and who doesn't. And if we have some guys that are malcontents or upset, we may have to purge those players. And everybody's like, oh, purging players. Oh, he's throwing players under the bus. The freak out over that stuff to me is like almost comical. Yeah, Spurrier. Spurrier's a great example. I mean, there's a difference between saying, hey, Matt Wyatt, number 7, is the reason we lost this game because he's terrible. And I got no idea why we're playing him. He lost the game. He's doing stuff we didn't even ask him to do. We don't coach him that way. Okay, that's throwing a guy under the bus. Saying collectively, if we get to a certain point, we may have to find who are the fence riders and tell them, look, we're going ahead with this thing one way or the other, whether you want to get on the train or not. That's throwing players under the bus, Jeff? Is it? I mean, my gosh, what planet are we on? Really? Lynn on the Davini Equipment phone line. What's up, Lynn?
Hey, thank you, Matt. You nailed it. That's right. I'm so sick of everybody saying Coach Lee threw people under the bus. He threw nobody under the bus. First person he threw under the bus was himself. And you're exactly right. People need to stop, slow down, listen to everything, and know they know what they're talking about. The man said we got to coach better before he said anything else. Now, that's taking ownership of it. And then he's talking about if we do have fence riders, they need to be gone. As a state fan, I'm happy you said it, because if you don't want to be there, we don't want you there.
That's right.
Now, that's how I feel. That's all I had. You done covered it. Good job, Matt. I'm going to listen.
Thanks, Lynn. Be careful driving in North Carolina. Thanks for listening in. I got no problem with it either. I wouldn't have a problem with it if I was one of the fence riders. I mean, reality is reality.
Happens in every other thing in America, in any business, anything like that.
It really does. No question about it. Hour 3 coming up. Y'all stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
Bull There's a lot of that out there in the wireless world. But C Spire believes that you deserve a plan that is what it actually says it is. Here's the real deal. The best plan for 1 or 2 lines. Unlimited talk and text with 10 gigabytes of high-speed data. And here's the real deal. $45 per line with auto pay and paperless billing. Even without auto pay, it's just $50. Now, how's that for the fine print? No bull. That's the real deal. Switch to C Spire today at cspire.com/real deal. C Spire, customer inspired. Man, that sounds like summertime in Mississippi, doesn't it? You know what else just screams summertime in Mississippi? Country pleasing sausage from Country Meat Packers in Florence. Check me out. Jalapeno and cheddar. Just got it at Kroger in Tupelo where I live. On grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast. Cut it up, throw it in the frying pan. Put it on a bun. Get some andouille, make some gumbo. It is the best sausage you've ever put in your mouth. Country Pleasing Sausage, countrypleasing.com. It is made up of hand-picked hams, bacon, and pork loin. That's why it tastes so good. I even got this cool hat from them. Check them out. Go by the butcher shop there in Florence, or order it online, or look for it in grocery stores. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please.
A lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. We carry the new Wyatt stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower.
Hey, are you buying land or selling it? You need to let Matt Anderson with National Land Realty help you out. Matt Anderson Properties. Here's what Matt can do. If you're buying land, you can view the property without ever setting foot on it. They've got the 360-degree interactive drone touring. It's really cool. You got to check it out. And if you're selling property, Matt's going to get you consistent reports, comprehensive reports of who's looking, how many people looked at your listing. You need to let him help you. Matt Anderson Properties with National Land Realty. Call him, 601-408-5155. Hey, if you listen to the show, you know that the new third hour of the Matt Wyatt Show is brought to you by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Here's what you need to know. If you're looking for a weekend home or condo, full-time residence, investment property, maybe just an apartment to lease, you got a student going to school at State, call Kane Overstreet at Overstreet Properties. In Starkville, it's 323-8618, or look them up online, overstreetproperties.com.
Wyatt Show. Talking about sports from around the world and right here at home. Streaming to you at the Zone 1059.com and on your radio on ESPN 105.9. The Zone.
Well, look at there. Hour number 3 has arrived. Welcome in here. Hour 3 presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. You headed to Starkville for any reason, moving up there permanently, looking at investment property, maybe you need a condo for you and a family, and you come into town for ball games, or just leasing an apartment, go to Overstreet Properties. You can find the info at overstreetproperties.com. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio here, hour 3, just getting started. Y'all text me, all right? So lots of ways for you to be a part of the show. Hey, did you hear that, JB? I just went all Nick Saban. I said, all right.
All right.
All
yeah,
right.
You did, but you look better than he does.
Oh.
You know why?
Why?
Because you smile.
Was it John L. Smith, that interim Arkansas coach that year, leaned into the podium, looked at all the media, and went, "Smile!" That's great. Yeah, I crack a smile every now and then.
It's kind of like that picture I sent to you of Muschamp.
Yeah,
he always looks like he's either constipated or just fixing to kill somebody.
Yeah, he's intense, right?
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. It's really it's no way to go through life. It really isn't.
No.
You know, I mean, look, there's a lot of these this is a fact, okay? It's a sad fact. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of coaches, I think a lot of them, there are more good coaches than bad ones. There are a lot of coaches that are unsung, that, you know, at the high school level and other places that are making, and in college, that are having a tremendous impact on a lot of young men. And that's great. But there are a lot of coaches, especially in that college game, who, you know, have chased the big jobs, have chased the money and the prestige, and really have chased the winning. And maybe they are overly competitive, okay?
Yeah.
And they're mad all the time.
Smile, though.
They're mad all the time. They don't and haven't built good, lasting relationships with people because they haven't been good to them. The people that work with them, the people that play for them. They have chased the money. They have spent as many nights at the office as they have at home during several months of the season. They haven't seen their kids grow up. They haven't spent time with their kids. Their wives are basically flying solo and raising the kids. You know, they're missing the little one riding a bike for the first time with no training wheels. They're missing that piano recital. And you know what? The whole world tells them how great they are. The whole world, all the media talks about how much money they make. And what's going to happen is one of these days when all that stuff's over, okay, and they're on the downhill slope late in life, it's going to hit them like a ton of bricks.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them it will. Some of them will never come to that realization. But that's why I say, like, you know, I give Dan Mullen credit for one thing when he was at State. He used to really make a priority out of doing some special stuff for his coaching staff so that they all had time to go do stuff with their family.
Well, it makes sense because if you're torn because you know you want to be with your family but you also have a job and your boss doesn't allow you to do, you know, it just, you know, it's kind of like the old The Shining. All work, no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. All right. You have LSU, Florida, postponed, not going to happen this weekend. If you're just tuning in, that's news as of today. LSU, Florida, not going to play, postponed until December because of a COVID outbreak at Florida. It's very significant. I think they said 21 players and 2 staff members all totaled. And so that puts them under the threshold of, there's a 53 scholarship minimum. The SEC says you got to have a minimum of 53 scholarship players available to play a game. Well, that was going to put Florida down at, I think it said 20 when you factored in injuries and other stuff. And not 20, 50 is what I meant. Put them down at 50, so 3 below the threshold when you factor in all that other stuff. So they're just not able to play. Well, it's postponed. So that's the second one this weekend. Missouri, Vanderbilt also postponed. And now move your eyes to two other programs. Number one, Texas A&M, who played that Florida team. The reason I bring that up is because Scott Strickland, AD Florida, said in his press conference today that, logically they are looking at that trip to A&M as the cause for this outbreak on their team. Said that they go back to the end of last week that they had some players that were experiencing a few symptoms, but they thought it was just allergies or whatever. It didn't report. Turns out they had it. Maybe they spread it over the course of this trip. Well, maybe those guys also were out there hitting and blocking and tackling Texas A&M players. Okay, so you got to keep an eye on A&M. Now, we're on Wednesday. The good news for A&M, who plays State this weekend in Starkville, is Jimbo Fisher said today that they've had 2 rounds of testing for their team since the game on Saturday against Florida, and that they are clean, in his words. So that would lead you to believe maybe they are going to steer clear of this thing, but you still have to make it all the way to Saturday. On that note, they changed up a couple things without the LSU-Florida game. Networks, anyway, are switching around. Changes. The Ole Miss-Arkansas game, same time, is still now going to be carried on the SEC Network. Originally, it was going to be on ESPN2. Now, Ole Miss at Arkansas is going to move over to the SEC Network. And Texas A&M at Mississippi State is going to be on ESPN 3 o'clock this Saturday. Originally, it was going to be on the SEC Network. Now, it'll be on ESPN. So, just didn't really affect you if you were going to go to the game. If you're planning to watch it, it's just a matter of it's on a different channel than before. So the networks involved with the SEC switching things up now that they're down a game. Got it? Got it. All right. The text line, the phone line, both wide open to you here in hour number 3. So y'all let me know what you're thinking, what your feedback is. I'd like to hear from you somehow, some way. So text me on the Country Pleasing text line 885-ESPN or 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone. Here's a number of that. Love to hear you. 995-1059-601. 995-1059. I'm going to make my way through some texts we got at the end of hour 2 here, and then look over at Charlie is bringing up something on the live stream that I find interesting, looking at Texas A&M's defense. We'll get into that. So first up, Rob in Grenada on the Country Pleasing text line says, I'm not so sure about any of these test results. My son-in-law tested positive yesterday morning at the hospital, then drove to his doctor and tested negative within 2 hours of the first test. That's the thing, Rob. There are false positives. There are false negatives. As a matter of fact, don't quote me on this, but I believe I heard, or I believe I read someone with Vanderbilt mentioning that they believe that it's quite possibly their issue with COVID on their team right now began with a false negative test. In other words, it comes back negative, turns out you did have it and spread it. So it does make it hairy. The tests are not 100%. And everybody's just doing the best they can.
Well, and nobody knows how it's going to affect. I think that's still one of the great unknown X factors, because I've got a good close friend that lives in Columbus, Georgia, outside of Columbus, and he and his wife both tested positive. She breezed through 2 weeks and was fine, and he was deathly ill. Mm-hmm. Now, didn't go to the hospital, but was sick as a dog for 5 or 6 days.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. I mean, living in the same house.
Same house.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
Isn't that something?
That's the big unknown in all of this, and I think
right.
that's why people, or I don't know, just it
trying their best
scary.
To be proactive.
Yeah, I still wear a mask when I go into public places, and it's not. I mean, we don't have to anymore, but the majority of places that I go, people have their mask on. So I think people are really trying, to do the right thing. And but that's just like I said, I don't want to be a Department of Redundancy department, but the big unknown is it just doesn't affect people all the same way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Hey, you're talking about smiling, JB. RLD Studio on the live stream said, Saban smiles way more than he used to. That's why our defense is soft now. Isn't that great?
That is.
Boo Shaker reminds us of a great book by Louis Grizzard. Don't bend over in the garden, Granny. Those taters got eyes. White Denzel says, I buy as much candy corn as possible. Then I make my own caramel and dump the candy corn in the caramel, spread it on a sheet, put it in a refrigerator until the caramel has hardened. And then he sits down and then
He's
he
got
eats
a bunch of good recipes.
This man is making
we need to
stuff.
we need to get a White Denzel cookbook.
Absolutely. You hear that, Denzel? Put all your ideas in a book and we'll buy it and promote it for you for a small fee. Jason in Flagstaff says that's the other thing. It's supposed to take up to 2 weeks before symptoms develop or folks will test positive. It's worrying to me that it's going around so much in college football. Sooner or later, one or more of these kids are going to get really sick or worse. Yeah, that is the fear, right? That's really the big fear in all this. You don't mind them canceling the game, cancel them. We don't have to play any games. Make sure these guys don't get deathly ill, if at all possible. But there also is an element of we can't just, frankly, close our doors and stay inside. We just can't. We just can't. So I know you get that, and so I agree with you. Jester B on the Country Pleasing text line. I don't know what he's referencing here, but he says, Matt, he wanted those banana hands. Who wanted them? What were we talking about? I know the reference. I just don't remember what we were talking about when you sent me that. The banana hands thing. Tony Joe says Lynn is the man. Lynn, driving through North Carolina, he liked your call. Tony Joe liked your phone call on the Davini phone. The real Eric on the Country Pleasing text says, what do you believe college coaches are on blood pressure medicine? Yeah, I think a bunch of them are. I mean, they're like anybody. It's like Ed Orgeron drinking 7 Red Bulls before a ball game. You know, they're all looking for some sort of way to cope. Coffee Norman, Country Pleasing text says, Matt, I'm all for the playing football, but if they don't cancel for 19 positives, then when would you cancel a game? Right. I mean, they had no choice. No choice whatsoever. Heck, man, I mean, let me ask you all a question. This is sort of rhetorical, but not. Who's going to be the first team out there to have an opponent that week that they're going to go to on the road, a road trip, looking them in the face? Who's the first team out there that's going to have an opponent they got to travel to, who that opponent has plenty of people to play, but they've had 5 or 6 positive tests that week? Who's going to be the first team to go, hey, look, we're not coming out there and playing, y'all. We ain't doing it. Really? Well, we've got them quarantined. Yeah, I know. But you could have others have it and not know it. We'll just skip your game and give us a better chance to play the rest of our games because we got a home game the next week. So y'all can have it. Well, you forfeit. Okay, forfeit. Fine. I don't care what you put in there. It's a pandemic season anyway. Seriously, who's going to be the first team to do that? Hey, look, our opponent this week, we were supposed to travel out there. They've had a few positives. They hadn't had a chance to see if they really got it squashed or not. We're just staying here. We're not going. Somebody's going to do it. I'm curious who that first to pull that is going to be. PT for MSU on the Country Pleasing text, and then I'm coming to the phone line. PT for MSU says, I am at home until next Wednesday because of a false positive. I tested last Wednesday at work, was notified of a positive result on Friday. Immediately went to local Trust Care for rapid test, tested negative. Went back to Trust Care on Sunday, tested negative again. So 2 outside negative tests don't trump the at-work positive test 1 week ago. So you got 1 more week left at home. How about that, PT for MSU? I mean, it's like, is it hard to blame them? I mean, if the employer trusts their testing measures, and anybody can get a false positive or a false negative. The whole thing's tough, man. It's tough. It's just, I know there's a phrase of grasping at straws, but really it's what people are doing. They're just doing the best they can. All right, here we go. Chris is on the Davini Equipment phone line and actually himself had COVID for 5 weeks. Chris, thanks for calling. What's up?
Good morning to you.
You too.
Good afternoon, I guess it is.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for calling. What's up?
Well, one aspect that when I listen to all the different programs, including yours, one aspect that I found and I keep finding with people that I know that have had COVID is that once you get rid of, quote, the sickness of it, you don't get rid of the fact that you are so weak, that your body is just weak for a long period. And all these players that, we'll be back in 2 weeks. And all this, if they truly had COVID, then they're not going to be worth playing. I mean, because they're going to be so weak. Just a very quick stint on the field, and they're done. Mm-hmm. And I never hear any comments about that from people.
It's really interesting. No, we don't talk about that, Chris, because, I know there are varying degrees of being positive with it, right? Like some people are, hey, they say I've got it, but I'm asymptomatic. Like they never have a symptom, and then the next thing you know, they're over it. But then there are others.
Yeah.
You're saying that you and many others who've had it, you had this just a weakness in terms of your muscles and everything after you got rid of it. How would you describe the severity of the COVID that you had, Chris?
I had slight headache, but I never was sick.
Okay.
Like you talked about the person that was violently ill. I never was that sick, but my problem was I was just so weak that I literally, if it wasn't for my sweet wife, I never would have eaten for a whole week because I was just so weak to get out of bed. And, she kind of force-fed me every now and then for me to survive. But
it's a good thing that she loves you, because if she didn't, you were pretty vulnerable. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, listen, I totally agree. I have an angel, and I realize it.
Yeah, it's a good thing. That's right. Well, look, I'm glad you're doing well now, and I'm sorry you had to go through that, Chris. I appreciate you listening, and thanks for calling.
Listen, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, you too. He's right. We don't talk about that, but how many players Florida is telling us that they had some players who had symptoms at the end of last week but didn't talk about it, and that they should have. They just thought they had allergies. Well, were those players sick enough that it affected their performance? That's another thing we don't talk about. I got 2 minutes on the clock for a man named Chicken Hawk on the Davini Equipment phone line. What's up, Mr. Hawk?
I don't know if I can get all this out in 2 minutes. First off, we got a national flag, we got a national song, we got a national tree, we got a national flower.
Yep.
Well, I don't know we got no national candy, but I'm going to tell you something. Me and you got to have some kin folks somewhere in us. We got to have some blood that's flowing through the same veins. We got some kin somewhere. I love candy corn.
Hey, man.
I eat it down if I can. Candy corn ought to be the national candy, Halloween candy. What you call it in February? Valentine's candy, Thanksgiving candy, Christmas candy, birthday candy, candy corn.
Amen. I love it. Now, I want to ask you a question, Chicken Hawk. Did you have? Well, I know you're just going to put up with it. Did you eat any candy corn before that game in 1978 when you kicked that 40-yard game-winning field goal for Morton against Forest that somebody told us about yesterday on the radio? Did you have candy corn before that game?
Well, actually, it was 47 because it started out as a 36, and them cheating referees they had backed us up twice. And it was on the far right. I remember this game right here because the simple fact, the year before, Forest beat us 22-21 at Morton. That time in 78, we was at Forest, Forest, for you children up north.
And it was on a Monday because it got rained out on Friday. I mean, seriously, back then, the chicken bowl was the big thing, you know, not like the egg bowl. That's how we got the egg bowl, from our chicken bowl. But anyway, I don't remember this, but they tell it all the time we get together that after that second cheating penalty, it backed us up to where it was going to be 47. I actually added a yard to it to make it 47.
Okay.
But I told the guys in the huddle, I said, look, I'm tired of this, and I used the S word, and that was before Jesus, so I'm going to be forgiven. And I said, I'm tired of this S. I said, I'm finna end it. And then I ended it. But that wasn't my longest one. My longest one was like 55 in a game. I kicked in practice. We practiced a lot of times. I kicked, 368s. But see, I was a waste. I mean, my coach, I think I told you before, I was recruited by the SWAC, signed with A&M up in Huntsville, because my coach played for the school up north. He played in the Sugar Bowl. I ain't going to call his name. Some folks know him. But he didn't like me at all because you can kind of tell my personality. And he told guys from the SEC that I was uncoachable. But I had a black coach, Brother John Kennedy, that ended up coaching at Wayne Field and ended up being a superintendent and a principal over there. He's the one who taught me how to kick.
Okay.
I mean, I was kicking in the 7th grade when everybody else was putting it on the 20th. You know, and I mean, I'm in to see, like I told Jason, I think it's Jason, he texted me today. His daddy played for Prentice in the Little Dixie. So I never played against them except for in 76. We played for the championship. We played Warren Central, but we got beat. But my sophomore year, I was just a Little Dixie kicker, which meant the North Little Dixie kicker. And then in my my junior and senior year, I was all Little Dixie, means both ends, left guard and kicker and punter. So I graduated, man. Like I said, I kicked 5 against Brandon. That 57 was one of them 5.
See it.
Come experience our very own winter wonderland as we celebrate this year's Mistletoe Marketplace. I am Mistletoe Marketplace Chair Lori Hill Marshall.
And I am...
I'm actually going to head up to Biggersville up in Alcorn County tonight. 1A Biggersville, they're 2-0 this year. Scored 60 points in their ball game last week, so they're off to a really good start. Been by there a bunch. You can see the school and the field from the highway. There's a school, a water tower, a barbecue place, and a Dollar General, and a lot of really good folks.
I started at Biggerville in the 2nd grade in 1966, and I've been here since the 2nd grade. So people in Biggerville have been so good to me, and the good Lord, I'm just really blessed by what I've been able to experience. After school Thursday, there was 28 kids out there, and we counted the orders after. You know, we're just blessed to support the school, and they sure support me.
Now, this is the busy night, like the Friday night. Everyone's coming.
It's a close-knit community. I mean, they love the kids, and like I said, I've been in Biggerville for 60 years, and it's just a great place. I mean, great place to raise your family and kids and support the school.
Smithville, who's always kind of been a 1A powerhouse, hasn't played yet this year. They haven't been able to really even practice as much because of COVID. So kind of an interesting dynamic because Biggersville has never beaten Smithville. At least that's what I'm told. So it's actually a huge opportunity for that community.
I was supposed to stay next week.
Hamburger and
Monday.
Coke. You got any chips?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's game between the Biggersville Lions and the Smithville Seminoles. And what a game we have in store tonight as the 2-0 Lions take on the 0-0 Smithville Seminoles.
Well, let's see if the Lions can get their run game going with senior number 23, Goldman Butler.
So tonight's matchup getting ready to take place as the Biggersville Lions won the toss. They have elected to defer to the second half. We thank you all for tuning in to tonight's ball game.
Smithville brings tradition that people long for, and that's kind of what we long for here. Again, we're building it, but they've kind of set the standard, especially in 1A in North Mississippi and across Mississippi in general. So yeah, it's exciting. To my knowledge, they've told me we've never beaten them. So what an accomplishment that would be, and that's what we shoot for, and just to kind of set the tone for the whole season for bigger and better things, hopefully.
Bowler got a couple of blocks. He's going to bust through. He's going to break free. One man to beat. Breaking tackle. And will finally get pushed out of bounds at around the 10-yard line. So a great job right there for the Biggersville Lions. Rousey shotgun, takes a snap, and hands it off to Butler once again. Butler up the middle, got some blocks. Going to be handed off to Butler. Round to the left side, and he'll bust into the end zone. And he'll walk into the end zone once again as the Lions would take a commanding 14-0 lead early on here in this ball game.
That looks great. Way to go. Wait. Good call. Good job, guys. Way to go.
It's a hometown. It's just a big family. Everybody here knows everybody. Friday nights over the last 4 or 5 years have just increasingly become more and more exciting. Our team, these kids have grown to start in 8th grade and 9th grade as freshmen and played a lot of football and come a long way. This is a pretty good crowd. We were limited on the number of tickets we can sell, so obviously normally there would be a lot more people here. But yeah, they definitely got a good crowd tonight.
Take snap, and they're going to go to the air. They're going to throw deep.
Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and worldwide online at thezone1059.com.
Yeah, speaking of bald, which I am. It's a true story. Speaking of bald, today is National, I think they said it's called Be Bald, Be Free. I think that's what it's called. Let me see here.
Got to be careful with that one.
It really is. October 14th on the National Day calendar, National Be Bald and Be Free Day. Tell you what I'm free of. Expenses in cosmetics. Haircuts and all that kind of stuff. I'm free of that. I bought a set of clippers 4 or 5 years ago. They're still good. They cost me like $35 at Walmart. They still work. That's what I cut my own hair.
So you're not really bald if you have to shave your hair. Right?
Yeah, I mean I'm not completely.
Right. But you know what my dad said about that kind of stuff?
What's
my
that?
dad was bald. He said God only made a few heads perfect, and the rest he covered with hair.
The Lord is good, the Lord is fair. To some he gave brains, to others hair. Okay, it's also National Dessert Day. That's better, isn't it? It's also National Dessert Day. You are at your favorite meal. You got your favorite meal, your favorite entree in front of you, wherever, prepared by whomever. You have a choice of one dessert to top off the perfect meal, the one meal you love most, and this is your dessert. What is it? That's the question. Man, I don't know how I would answer that. Some days I might say banana pudding, or, more appropriately, nanner pudding. Other days I might say cheesecake with that strawberry stuff on top. Make your tongue slap your hat off. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Probably one of those two things, would be the perfect dessert. A National Dessert Day. Y'all go out there and bust your diet on National Dessert Day. The NBA Finals ratings were officially the lowest in modern history.
What do you mean? They had a finals?
I mean, really. A lot of people didn't even know it.
Well, the Lakers won. I'm not a real fan of LeBron, but I do like the Lakers, so that's okay.
The last time LeBron James played in the finals That was 2018. The games averaged 17.56 million viewers. This year, a 57% drop below that. 57% fewer than in 2018, for instance.
Well, it's got to be the bubble and all that too, man. Even though the viewership was down in March when they suspended play.
Yeah.
So you might say this just kind of helped the old snowball avalanche down the hill a little bit more.
Right. Game 6 of the finals on Sunday went up against Sunday Night Football between the Vikings and the Seahawks. Vikings and Seahawks got 15.1 million viewers, or average 15.1. Doubled the viewership for Game 6 of the NBA Finals. It's just unbelievable. I mean, I knew people were tuning out and not paying attention. It's unreal.
I'd like to know what the ALCS or ALDS, NLDS, ALCS, NLCS ratings are.
I would. Well, you know what, JB? Doggone it, I tell you one that they have is me.
He does not run, and this one is driven into right. Goodbye. Freddie Freeman goes deep. Hard hit, third baseman. Makes a play, and that's Austin Riley to end the night. What a game, what a finish. And Riley, the sure-handed third baseman.
Ball game. 2-zip.
Makes
Hot
a
Atlanta. They tried their best to give that ball game away last night. The Dodgers a furious rally. But 8-7 the final. Game 3 coming up in hours. All right, Paul
How
is
about
on.
old Hunter Renfroe last night?
Yeah.
See that play he made?
He had like 2 phenomenal catches in the outfield.
His bat's not very hot, but that glove sure works pretty well.
Well, you know, if you don't knock in a run, at least go save a couple, which he saved a couple.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he had a big-time night. All right, Paul is on the Davini Equipment phone line. Hey, Paul, what's up?
Hey, guys, how are you doing?
Just right.
I want to apologize when I called in yesterday, just after I revealed about Chicken Hawk kicking the winning field goal. I accidentally cut you guys off.
Oh, that's okay. No problem at all.
Remember that call?
Well, yes, and I asked him all about that field goal he kicked back in '78. He reminded us it was a 47-yarder. Sure did.
Yeah, I was thinking 42, but I do think that he got backed up on a 5-yard penalty, and it may have been 47. But anyway, he sure made it. Y'all had not known that after all the conversations you've had with Chicken Hawk. It took me telling you that yesterday.
Well, let me ask you something, though. Let me ask you something. Do you use the word conversation? Conversation is generally where two people talk and listen to each other.
I understand.
With Chicken Hawk, we just basically, like, we have to hang on to the rope right up until the music cuts off. You know what I'm saying?
And ring the bell at the end of the round, right?
That's right.
I guarantee you, he's a sport, though. But anyway, I was surprised that he had not managed to reveal that fact in all the times he had called. But I was going to also comment yesterday, because you had your lovely bride on, the homecoming queen, and I was going to congratulate her for her choice in colleges and console her for her choice in husband. But anyway.
Yeah, she needs that. Well, I know. I appreciate it, but she does, I mean, I got the better end of the deal. There's no question about it.
Have you heard, I told you that we had a lot in common. I married a Mississippi State girl.
There you go. There's a bunch of those. There's a bunch of those out there.
Yeah, there are. Have you heard about the COVID problems at Oxford?
Yes, we mentioned that in hour 1, and all I heard about it, Paul,
I didn't have a chance to get on until about 2:00, so
okay.
I apologize.
No, that's fine. All I heard about it was what Lane Kiffin said in his press conference today, in the teleconference, which he just said they had a small outbreak. A few guys tested positive. They're dealing with it the best they can right now. If they had to play a game today, they'd be able to do it. Hopefully it stays that way, which made it sound like if they were to get a handful more that keep testing positive the next couple of days, that may change things. But right now, they feel like they could play.
Well, I got on the Ole Miss Spirit website and looked a little bit more into it, and from what I can gather is that it's affected, ironically, no one on the offensive side, but it's mostly on the defensive side of the ball, and particularly defensive line. So that could be devastating.
Mm-hmm.
And the last comment Kiffin made was, yes, that it is a significant group of players given the positions that it's hit. But he did acknowledge they had enough people to go to Fayetteville this weekend, but he may be forced to make several position changes. So I just don't know. You know, what happened at Florida and, you know, in Vanderbilt, I swear I don't believe Vanderbilt's finished the season. I think with all the opt-outs they had at the beginning of the year and now COVID hitting them and whatnot, it's just going to be a surprise. And, you know, like the question you brought up earlier, you know, when is it going to happen that somebody gets on the phone and calls an opponent and says, hey, you know, we heard you had X number of COVID cases, and we're not traveling to Starkville, we're not traveling to Oxford, or we're not traveling to Gaines.
Right.
I think that's going to happen.
Well, and you know what, Paul? This is really an outside the box, just stray thought. I know it, and it may not represent any reality, but part of me says the SEC, number one, was fortunate for all 14 teams to get their first 3 games in.
Correct.
Now, all of a sudden, you've got 4 teams who aren't playing, another who has positive tests monitoring it, another who just played a team that had an outbreak, got to monitor that. And it's almost like they could probably go, all right, look, the Big Ten, the Pac-12 are about to start. Their seasons are going to go later. Why don't we just put a pause in this thing for everybody? Let's put a 2-week pause in this thing for every team. Instead of running the risk of this ballooning on us, let's just halt the whole thing for a couple of weeks across the league.
If you look at the national map now, where it's gotten worse, it's gotten so much worse in the north and in the northeast and in you know the middle of the country.
Yeah, where it's getting colder.
Hadn't spent many years in the food processing business. I can tell you that in the summer months, like when we would be vaccinating.
Hey, Paul, we got to split. Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate you calling. Thank you.
Good news, hunters. Arrowhead Archery Range is now open.
I am not saying by any stretch of the imagination that we're going to win tonight. I will say, Germantown's going to be a tough out for everybody this year. I don't blame you for picking Warren Central. You know, history shows they'll win the game tonight, but I think we'll play them tougher than what people think we will.
And now Warren Central's good. I mean, Warren Central's good. A solid team. Like Germantown, this is the year they could do something. That's one of the biggest games tonight. If I could be at a game, that's where I would be. I'll be headed to Vicksburg tonight. Get to check out Warren Central hosting Germantown. Big 6A ball game. And, you know, Germantown loaded with really good players. They're off to a 3-0 start. Warren Central, 3-0. It's a huge matchup. I can't wait to see that one tonight.
And I think we're going goalpost to goalpost, sideline to sideline. Goalpost to goalpost, sideline to sideline.
Everyone's starting to reach the play tonight. Now Nick Barnes, I think, is going to check into the game alongside Branson Robinson. Barner in shotgun formation. He's going to go to Nick. Nick gets a hold, and he breaks it to the 30. Up to the 29-yard line. I'm looking for a big game for Nick tonight.
Thompson again, first and goal. Up and over. Is he in? Side judge running in. Touchdown, Vikings. There's the call. Late signal.
right route. Go trip. Okay, trip.
There's the give. Trey Hall sweeping right side. Gets the block for the wide receiver. He's in the secondary. Down the right sideline. The chase is on. 30, 25, 20. Nobody's going to catch him. Trey Hall to the end zone. Touchdown. 80-plus yards for the Vikings.
86-yard run that time by Hall to
side. Here's the snap. They give it to TJ. Ball is on the ground.
Oh, wow.
Germantown says they have it. Germantown bench went nuts. Germantown does have the football. Everybody in tight for the Vikes. Quick drop. It's deflected in the air. Taylor Smith again. He's done it again. A pick six for Smith.
Second one of the season, Jared. He had one a couple of weeks ago, and Taylor Smith takes it in.
Fires over the middle behind his receiver. Incomplete. That's it. 1-0 in district. The Vikings win 23-10 over the Germantown Mavericks.
Great job by the Vikings tonight. You saw the halftime adjustments by Coach Josh Morgan and his team.
It's huge for right now. It's huge for down the road, guys. You set yourself up very nicely. Now, what we have got to focus on is we're going to enjoy this son of a gun. You hear me? We're going to enjoy it, guys. We're going to relish it. And we're coming back, and we're getting ready to get better.
Really outscored Germantown as they came out. Great defensive plays from Taylor Smith and Tevin Bell. And a wonderful job to close out this game for the Big Red.
Right now. You got the Matt Wyatt Show on 105.9 The Zone and online at thezone1059.com.
A little bit more with you here this afternoon. Hour 3 of the show presented by Overstreet Properties in Starkville. Y'all go tell Kane Overstreet I sent you up there at Overstreet Properties, overstreetproperties.com. If you headed to Starkville, moving up there, or looking for investment property, maybe you're going to get that condo for when you come into town for ball games, or maybe you're a student leasing an apartment. Overstreet Properties, trust me on that. That's where you want to go. Thanks for tuning in. I'm in the Farm Bureau studio. JB's here. Most importantly, you are here. Still a little ways to go with you. We've covered a lot of ground. We've settled some things. It is settled. Candy corn is the best Halloween candy. Stop it. Just stop. Just stop. I know you're mad. Candy corn is the best Halloween candy. Also, gorillas can speak to you without saying words. We have settled that. There is a lot of stuff going on out here in the SEC football world with COVID. Florida, LSU not going to play. You already had Missouri, Vandy on postponement for this weekend because of COVID stuff. And so now we got to keep an eye on a couple others. A&M, who played Florida. Ole Miss has got some positive tests that they've talked about and may cause an issue for them. They're just hoping it doesn't get worse. If it does, they might not be able to play. If it doesn't, they could. They said they could play today if they had to. All that and much more. A couple of things here, and let's see. First, do we still have Chicken Hawk hanging on, JB?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Chicken Hawk, I appreciate you calling back. Thanks for hanging on for that. And what was it that was the purpose of your original call?
Well, I want to say thank you there to Paul. Appreciate you, Paul. And I was a big waste. That's one reason I never told anybody or talked about it, because it was just I wasted my life. But praise God, Jesus forgive me, and now I have a wonderful life with Luke.
Amen.
Didn't watch a football game after that first year in college until I met Luke. Didn't go to one until after that. So anyway, I thank Luke for bringing me back to my sport. But I'm talking about the doggone wagon. Now listen, for about 13, 14 years, I rode in the Dixie National Wagon Train. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I belong to one of the Central Mississippi Trail rides. So I know about a wagon train. I can hold the reins. Just because you belong to a fan club, and just because you got, the head of it, and all then got money. Hey, I got money invested. Lupe, we got alumni association, the dog club, bulldog member, club member, season ticket. But listen, there's a difference between the moon and the sun, between Coach Leach and the one we just got rid of. I'm so wound up, I can't even. What was the coach's name we just got rid of?
Moorhead.
But listen, you must not have never played football, guy. I can't remember what that guy's name was. Because if you ever played football up to this level or any level, you'd understand. Because them boys, the juniors and the seniors play for Moorhead. Man, you got to give the man a chance. You got to give the boys time. Listen to this word now. Get ready before I put the basketball glove on. You got to let these boys get antiquated with his system. So, get a man 2 years to get him some boys up, and the only boy that's ever played under this kind of system is Will. That's probably maybe one or two more on the team, but Will's about the only one that's ever played like this. KJ ain't never played no football like what we playing right now. He's a pro-style quarterback. Get a man some kind, good gracious alive. We ain't played but 3 games, so I am still on the train. I will be ringing the bell against ATM come this Saturday. Look for me. My name will be on my shirt. You'll hear me before you see me. I love y'all, Hell State and Matt.
Yep.
See.
Chicken Hawk out. My name will be on my shirt, and you'll hear me before you see me. Mr. Hawk. On the live stream, Blake posted that he was concerned about my film study videos on my YouTube channel. He said, Matt, I feel like your film study video posts immediately after the games hurts Mississippi State and helps the rest of the SEC prepare. Yeah, Blake, I would just tell you, those are for our entertainment only. That's all that is. I mean, it's for really your entertainment as a fan or interested bystander. It's the most, the things and concepts that I point out, some of the things, it's observations I have through my eyes of having been around coaches, having been coached, and having played a little bit. And I do have an eye for it, and I understand very much of it. But it's pointing out very basic things. You may watch those film studies that I post on there, and you may think they are in depth, but they're really not. They're very basic. And what I would tell you is, trust me on this.
You're not sending them to Steve Spurrier Jr., are you?
Well, I mean, he doesn't want them. That's the point that I'm making is, listen, Blake, you need to understand, all 13 of the other schools in the SEC have 10 on-field coaches and an army of analysts who are coaches, who all of them they know more X's and O's than I know. They identify the things I'm pointing out there quickly. They don't need a film study to do that. And they have their own ways of doing it. I wish there was a better way to illustrate that, but there's really not, because if we could get, a high-level X's and O's assistant coach, any of them really, even to sit down on camera for an hour and begin to dissect stuff, you'd be lost. And I would too on some of it, but most fans would be just completely lost after about 10 minutes. I mean, their depth of knowledge and what they're looking at on stuff is just so in-depth compared to what I go into on those. I can assure you that I can't point out anything on any of these videos that any opposing coach hasn't already looked at and identified and does not need my help to identify any of it. I promise you that. If you could see the inner workings of a scouting staff, of the GA staff at any SEC school, and the off-field, analyst staff and what they're breaking down. I mean, Alabama, for instance, has probably the biggest analyst staff. They got former head coaches as analysts in their program, who their job throughout the year is to keep track of one or two teams. They're scouting and breaking down one or two teams in everything they've done, and that's it. So, what you're doing is you're sort of unknowingly giving me this huge compliment that I really don't deserve. I promise you. It's just not accurate. And Blake says, I don't see any opposing teams, Learfield employees posting film study videos, just Matt. Well, I'm not a Learfield employee. I do a job for Learfield on the weekends. This year will be 10 weekends out of the year. But I'm not an employee of theirs, and those other guys aren't either.
What feed is that on? Is that on YouTube feed?
Yeah, it's just on the YouTube channel. I do some,
Okay.
and I'm working on some stuff from the Kentucky game. I've just been so busy this week, I haven't had time to get it finished.
Have you made a decision on your hometown heroes for this Friday?
Well, yes, coming to MRA and prep.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
That's
got to
awesome,
figure out my Friday stuff because it's going to be a little, jumping through hoops and stuff. So
Touch and go.
Yeah, I'll communicate with you on that.
Okay.
My number one priority is to bring Beaver some country pleasing sausage, so that he'll
You can be JB some too if you want.
Well, I just want Beaver to just move on to some other complaint.
Hey, don't forget your deer meat and deer sausage is still in the freezer.
Oh yeah, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
We figured it'd wait for you here in the freezer just as good as Beaver could eat it out of his freezer.
Yeah. Okay. True Maroon Country Pleasing text line says that's why we've been losing. Thanks a lot, Matt. LOL. Way too much credit. The real unnamed texter said, I hated candy corn as a kid. Now I love it. It's what happens, man. That's what happens. Tony Joe says, Matt, I have to say I'm disappointed in some Mississippi State fans. Dang, folks, let's all row in the same direction. Stop with the negative vibes. Don't be arrogant, dog fans. Hogjowl says, good show, boys. I appreciate y'all and the callers and texters. We do too, and appreciate you very, very much. Jason in Flagstaff says he misses the Memphis Zoo. I like it. It's a really good zoo. I bought some of the hottest barbecue I've ever bought in my life at the Memphis Zoo. It was good, though. No name texter said on desserts, Matt, a true homemade grandmother's pecan pie. Ooh, bring that on. One last note, JB. On this day in 92, Game 7, NLCS, Frank Cabrera at the plate, Sid Bream out at second base.
A lot of room in right center. If he hits one there, we can dance in the streets. The 2-1. Swung line drive left field. One run is in. Here comes Bream. Here's the throw to the plate. He is safe. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win. Braves win.
Oh. Chop, chop.
Chop, chop.
Game 3 coming up. Good stuff today, JB. Appreciate you, man.
Man, you're the best.
Talk to y'all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Right here in the Farm Bureau studio. We will see you then. The Drive is coming up next.